One of the big stories I've seen passed around this year is that Yokai Watch, the ultra-popular creature hunting franchise from Japan, could arrive as the next big competitor to Pokemon. The series is selling at an insane rate from its games, cards, toys, and movies in Japan, and it's finally coming overseas this holiday season. Let me get it straight. I don't care at all who wins or loses between Yokai Watch and Pokemon. I just like fun franchises. Which is why I had a perfectly fine time enjoying both Pokemon and Digimon at the same time growing up. Come on, guys. They were really different. I'm sure the same way Yokai and Pokemon can be enjoyed at the same time. Enough! If it's a sacrifice you want, I have a willing lamb for the slaughter. A Pokemon knockoff so shameless that even I can't defend it fully. I speak of the forbidden game. Robopon for Game Boy Color. We're going to talk about Robopon. Now, right off the bat, I'm sure you'll see some similarities. Same amount of letters and rhyming names, main creature with ears, over 150 characters for you to battle and capture. Uh-oh. Look at that tagline. Perhaps the most recognizable thing about Robopon is its massive cartridge size. It's downright huge. Some big names went into making this bad boy, including Hudson Soft as the developer and Atlas as a publisher, and they crammed a lot of weird stuff in here. We'll get to those features in a bit. In Robopon's defense, the North American release was the worst ever. Winter of 2000, just after the release of Pokemon Gold and Silver. But in Japan, Robopon came out in the winter of '98, one full year before Japan got their first Game Boy Color-ready titles. So they technically did have full color first, which is nice, I guess. On top of that, Japan's release came with a Pokemon like multiple versions, Sun and Star. They even got a Moon version and a Comic Bomb Bomb special version a year later. Overseas, we got just the Sun version. So while there might be 150 plus Robopon out there to find, you'll never find them all naturally. But let's get to the game. Oh, wow. This isn't so much a knockoff as it is a straight sprite rip. I mean, just look at this opening area. The text used, the battle system. It's very clear that, at least in the visual department, Hudson was just looking for a straight cash-in. It's the same song and dance. Parents aren't around, left with an old man that expects the world out of you, getting your starter, and butting heads with the rival kid. And remember, Robopon are living creatures. Even though your first interaction with this man is... It's gonna be a long trip. Eventually, you reach your main objective, conquering all 7 of the game's gym leaders, or legends, to eventually become the master. You do this by battling with elemental types, collecting using magnets instead of Pokeballs when their health is low, and evolving your creatures into stronger forms. At face value, we've got a Pokemon ripoff that seems to fail on every level. There's no interlocking overworld, cutting you off from that sense of epic scope and adventure. Instead, you just travel from area to area by a map screen. The Robopon themselves simply aren't that memorable. The ones I do remember are usually out of just how nonsensical they are. Like the toilet, old man, Robopope, the one that just looks like an anime girl, the one that just looks like an anime girl, the one that just looks like an anime girl, and so on. The typing is also a mess to figure out. Not only do you have to memorize a brand new type chart with 5 different levels of strength for each matchup, but the types are often not easy to tell just by looking at a creature. Cobalt here? Wind. Urchy the sea urchin? Evil. Punchy the punching bag? He's holy. Duh! Memorizing everything isn't just a chore, it's counterintuitive. Speaking of counterintuitive, the starter they give you can't evolve. And while there was that one time Pokemon did this in a special version, typically your starter is one that you build to level up and grow with you throughout the journey. In a strange way though, my playthrough was saved in the worst possible way. I woke up the next day to realize that everything was gone. Oh yeah, that's right. Just like the old Pokemon games, my battery had dried up. This game uses an internal clock, and once your battery goes bad, so does your data. One new battery later, I learned to ditch the starter and start working on evolution-capable robots. Around here's where I began to realize that there are some merits to Robopon, and it actually does have a handful of unique features. The first of which I noticed was the Energy Balls feature. There are actually 2 different level up meters in Robopon. One is for experience and levels, the other bar is for evolutions. Once you've filled the evolution meter with energy balls, you take your robot to an upgrade center to evolve up. One nice thing though is that energy balls you get from battles can be shared with your bench party as well. It isn't quite as overpowered as the modern experience share, but it can still help you get some additional evolutions ready without needing to spread your whole party around. Another excellent feature is being able to swap out your stored characters on the fly, even mid-cave, which is so much more convenient than frequent Pokemon Center trips. I started by building up on Halo, a cute little robot that eventually evolved into Angie. It was weaker at first, but it had help because it started with some really strong gear. And here lies Robopon's other main distinction: character customization. In terms of combat, Robopon work more like Final Fantasy VII characters, with materia slots rather than Pokemon. While some types of robots do just learn moves as they level up, most rely on custom hardware and software, giving you a separate amount of stat boosts and elemental attacks that you can install. There's also a huge backlog of hidden moves that are only unlockable once you have certain combinations installed, such as Babel, which requires one holy and one evil. This system does come with its pros and cons though, and the biggest is just how complicated it all is. You need to know your Robopon's body type, gear, total software size, computer strength, and then balance 3 different software pieces to get the hidden combos that you want. In addition, because a majority of types in this game can swap their moves around at will, there aren't a ton of unique features separating most robots, aside from attack, defense, and speed. By changing software and type advantages at will, I stuck through about 90% of my playthrough grinding and leveling just one single character. Once I got enough energy for Angie's evolution, I eagerly awaited that third final stage. This is it! My equivalent of the Charizard. Companion for the rest of the game. It's... Why would they do that? What reason would you have to go from 1 to 2 to 3? Oh, this is like Glammy out of Perugly all over again, but with an extra cute evolution right in the middle for tease. Okay, Uggy, I guess, is my best friend now. This is the darkest timeline. I never recommend this, but Robopon is a game that's best played with emulation, simply because you can speed it up with an emulator. Even Pokemon realized the value of increased speed by offering the Doduo and Dodrio options in their in-game emulator with Pokemon Stadium. Robopon's battle animations are comically slow. Here's just one sample for you. So, naturally, I had to turn them off to keep my sanity. The other reason I decided to use a physical copy instead of emulation is... What? The other reason I decided... I didn't emulate because I wanted to share... Oh my god, it doesn't come from the game, it's the cartridge! It turns out that certain events you do in-game will signal the in-cartridge speaker that gives you a heads up when they complete. It doesn't just go off when you're playing, it goes off when your system is off. It even beeps at you when it's just the cartridge by itself. It's like they figured out those obnoxious mobile alerts on your phone a good decade in advance. Thankfully, like your phone, you can turn these off in the game's settings. But keep enough of these events on without knowing how to turn them off, and you might have one of these babies beeping in a desk drawer for months. Compared to most other RPGs in the Game Boy era, Robopon is not the worst thing to happen. But good Uggy, is it boring. There's no routes, most of the game's movement is in long caves, and while this game did copy plenty from Pokemon, it looks like they decided to not copy the ability to use something like a repel. It's a real drag, especially toward the middle, full of all your favorites returning from Pokemon, like warp tile puzzles and pushing rocks. But eventually I did switch out in the game's ultimate fetch quest, the Elite 8. Not to be confused with the Elite Four, these 8 girls hold a giant Robopon trading ring. The only problem is that you have to trade with most of them twice, leaving you running all over the world to find them in a 15 trade sequence. They're rewarded at the end of the Sun version with Golden Sunny. Still can't evolve, but it doesn't matter because it has the best stats in the game by far. The only thing left to do was cheat. Robopon has a fun system called the Dispatch Center, where you can send a group of 4 boxed Robos on their own journey to battle and level up. Used normally, this could be a fun alternative to Pokemon's Daycare Center, except that because it's time-based and not step-based, All you have to do is set your mission time, go back to the main menu, and change your clock. And with no Mr. Rossetti to stop me, I can hack all the levels I want. Golden Sunny crushed everything. It wasn't even close. I didn't even bother with changing the software. He just melted everything. And once I stomped the final boss, Dr. Zero, he goes out like a sore loser, and we get the victory ceremony. GG. Oh wait, I guess the princess was turned into a mirror? Should probably fix that. In a bit of post-game, you can travel to find the item that brings her back to life. And it's here that I got a taste of Robopon's final and possibly strangest feature. This giant cartridge has a sensor that can read infrared. Someone at Hudson thought it would be a good idea to implement a feature where you can point a TV remote at your system, push a button, and then unlock stuff. Because when I think of portable consoles, the first thing that comes to my mind is the television. This treasure hunter requires that you use your TV remote to cross a path in the final dungeon. I mean, it does work, it's just so weird. My final duel was his level 65 Golden Sunny against my level 66 Golden Sunny. It went just like the rest of Robopon. Slowly. And that's about it. That's Robopon for you. By the time Pokemon Gold and Silver came out, they had most of the features that made Robopon unique, like full color and time-based events, but it was all executed in a way that made it impossible to recommend Robopon when compared to the Pokemon games they copied. Are you ready for a twist, though? I think Hudson actually learned from their mistakes, because Robopon 2 hit the Game Boy Advance a few years later, and they changed everything. Original art style with cutscenes, actually being able to buy both versions, a party-based RPG combat system with 4 characters, robot creation with zero capturing. It's actually a really fun hidden gem RPG on the Game Boy Advance. Maybe we'll talk about it another day if you guys end up enjoying this video, but for now, those are all my thoughts on the original Robopon game. The concept of gathering creatures to fight for you was never exclusive to Pokemon, but it is crazy to see one attempt at trying to cash in on the game's popularity. Until the end of time, though, it seems we'll always have new ways to try and catch them all. Build them, collect them, trash them. Thanks for watching today's video. If you want to catch some more less than pleasant memories I've had with Pokemon-related topics, you can check out a few of my other videos right here. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, consider clicking the subscribe button to get alerts each time a new video drops. I'll see you guys next time with more Nintendo content.